I've never seen actually pink masking fluid before. I've seen white and the blue. Are you managing with that brush? Don't get too thick.
Yeah, I've discarded yours.
So if you're using watercolours, now's the time to just touch the surface of all your pages with a little water to soften them down. That's still over the top. So very, very good. Again, very, very loose with the acrylic inks. Great luminosity, very bright colours. So great for things like garden scenes and things. It's watercolour, quite get that complete vibrance with very bright pastels. And remember that you can use pastels in water. You can paint the soft pastel. The softer the pastel, usually the more expensive the pastel, the better they are, because they get to the water better. So Unisons, the SAA range, their pastels, they're quite nice as well. And with the SAA ones, I noticed you get actually slightly more for money. I actually weigh Unisons, and I weigh the SAAs, which is a bit cheaper. And you get slightly more with the SAAs than you do with the Unisons. But the Unisons are beautifully creamy and very soft, so it swings around the house. But if you want to touch your canvas, they're very tactile, they're very sculptural, aren't they?
What did you cover it with, did you say?
What did you say? It's this new multi-mix resin that I typed out afterwards. So it's in between the contemporary and traditional art. It's a step across, isn't it? As that is a bit. It's like you paint, you type of paint contemporary traditional things like that with it. That's also done with the rollers. All that background is done with sponge rollers, and then touched up with the brush. All we do is use simple shapes, just templates, plates, mugs, spraying through toilet rolls, all sorts of things to get these effects. This one sprays, and that gives you special effects. You don't just want special effects. But then I start with these things you can buy in the pound shops, which I won't mention which company, but someone's selling them for an arm and a leg. The magic sponge for £1 in the pound shops, 5 of them. But you'll pay a couple of quid or more for just 2 or 3 of them from art shops. It's the same as sea sponges. You can get sea sponges off eBay and packs quite cheap. You can buy them in some of the seashell shops. But if you buy them from the art shops, again, they'll be more expensive. Useful for lifting paint out. They will really get that paint out of the paper quite well if it won't come off, especially certain papers stain more. Next, I'm going to go down to shapes of brushes. You saw there that I had a square brush. Right, that's a rake, and they come in, say, I've got them in different sizes, big ones, little ones. Now, the other thing is, you can do similar with, to a degree, a fan. So we've got white clouds here, so I'm going to leave deliberately a little bit of white straight away there. So it's quite a thin wash. It'll be trickling a bit for me, I'm not too worried about that, so I'm leaving little bits of white fluff there. Coming down here, little bits of white cloud, same there. Quite a thin wash. Just working over where these clouds are only. Like a bit of yellow, I'm going to bring a little bit of yellow across there straight away. While I've got the colour on my brush, I like to do that. Right, there we are. Now, if I take a bit of tissue at this stage, I want to deliberately make sure some of this is drier. So I'm going to just make sure that that area there is lifted back again. I'm going to do this again in a minute. Now I'm going to my cobalt blue. And let's come straight around here, and it's still wet. So you see where I just dried it there, it's staying dry. You see where I didn't put any paint, it's staying dry. Underneath there, so almost instead of going... This is the cobalt, yeah. Leaving light there, right round here. Going to just blend in a bit here. It's wet there, so see how that wet goes in. It's going to trickle down top of my clouds a bit because I'm painting vertically. Well, and the paintbrushes too, but I'm on my feet. Right down to here. Just work, that's a dry bit there. I can wet it anytime I want. I'm going to come right down to here, right down through there, right down through the masking fluid there to these clouds here in between. Keep it fast because I've got to get back into here with more washes. So I've got to be fast on this. Right down through to here, just underneath there. Now I'm going to change colour very quickly through to my cerulean. Go all the way along with my cerulean down here. Quick as that, nice and quick. Quick as that, look. Now back up now to I'm going to now mix up some of the stronger blue, my ultramarine, come back in, wet into the wet, and just tickle it in the top. Let that flow down and round here. Again, for you it'll spread out more evenly. Look at that lovely sky I get straight away, right? Now, take some of that same colour, and I was saying just now, we take some of that same colour, and I'm going to mix a little bit of burnt sienna with it to give myself a grey. That'll be a little bit thin, that grey, but let's just get that grey a bit stronger with the brown. There we go. And I'm going to start getting my warmer greys just underneath the clouds here now, with some of this brown. This is the same blue, the ultramarine, and a little bit of burnt sienna coming underneath here. A little bit stronger again. You can always go over it again, but now we are painting wet into wet, so although you've got your wet into wet already, and I can drop into this whenever I want, so let's get some of these stronger greys going, warm greys going on through here, right down through there, right down around the clouds into here still, right down underneath these clouds, just painting the underneath of the clouds, right down to there, through, a bit more here. Go stronger whenever I want. And, you know, I've got a quick sky. If I want to go darker, it's still wet. Nothing to stop me from going in again. Nothing to stop me from dropping more colour in. I can come in whenever I want. I can drop in more blue still if I want to, or even darker still. I can go as strong as that. Now remember that watercolour dries lighter than when you put it on. So although you might think this is very strong at first, it's going to dry lighter than this. Right, and at any time I can soften edges. So if I come back now, I'm going to clean my brush, instead of a damp brush, I can come back and I can soften an edge. So I can leave a sharp edge for the cloud, so I can come in there and I can soften edges like this by blending. So what I've done is wet next to wet, I'm doing wet into wet, and now I'm just blending some of these edges. Right through and under there. If I want a stronger grey, again I can take some more of that warmth. And I can come underneath if I want to get a bit stronger into those greys. I could use purple now. I mean, if I was doing one of my own watercolours, I'd probably go a little bit stronger now. I can come along and make some of these greys underneath the clouds a bit. And it's just tickling, it's just dabbing with the brush, isn't it? It's a lovely way to work. Is that all right? Quick one? Yeah. Go a bit stronger with the watercolour, you think?
What did you use for the grey?
For the grey is you can use any blue and brown, but I've used the last blue, the ultramarine and the burnt sienna. But you can use any blue and brown to make various greys. And you can go stronger and stronger, but the idea is to go stronger than you think and to drop those, to get the shapes as well. I'm painting round those clouds. I'm getting wet into wet now. Lifting out, we haven't done that, but we were talking earlier about these magic sponges. If I want to lift out anywhere, while I'm doing this, I'm going to just mess about a bit and show you. We can take a sponge and we can lift out. You see, like that. If I wanted softer effects, I can blend those effects in even to get a softer edge there, as I could here. If it's not strong enough, I can still put more blue in while it's still wet, but I've got to do all this while it's still wet. So I can lift out places and I can put in places. You could do that with a damp brush as well if you wanted to. I can lift out there if I want to. And I can be a bit stronger with the blue still. But that's going to give me the sky I need. So let's get that done first, get the skies done first. Nice and loose. Sharp edges, we've got lost and found edges. We've got a lost edge here, we've got a found edge there. Found edge, lost edge, found edge, lost edge. Lost and found. That's what they're called. Things wet at the moment. Keep things wet next to wet and wet in wet, don't let the paintings dry out. So soft edges here, you've got some clean water just to soften edges where you want a softer edge or a harder edge, okay? It's got to work very fast.
My grid lines out first.
No, exactly. No, you'll find those pencils. So I'm mixing up either raw sienna or yellow ochre again.
Raw sienna, if that's what we use first.
Yep, but not too yellow. Look, that's fine. Right the way through there, all the way down. Nice, easy yellow ochre washing. In fact, I'm going to go right through. For a reason, I'm going to go right through to my grasses here. I'm going to paint the whole lot because it doesn't matter if my green goes over this, not the boat, just the. I'm going to do the whole bottom bit. Nice big wash. Using a nice big wash brush for this. Nice and easy, look. It's all the way down. I can let it go down with gravity like my tummy. There we go. Don't you call me Rolf Harris. Oh. He's not in favour now. It's so amazing, isn't it?
I know.
Next you think it'd be Cliff Richard, wouldn't you? But you know.
Oh, I hope it isn't Cliff.
Oh no, I don't think so. There we go. So that's that bit there. In fact, I'm going to do the back of the boat as well. Why not? I'll do the back of the boat too, but not the white of the boat. Right. So that is now damp paper, and I've got to work into this while it's still damp. I'm using my oval mop as a blade. We'll be doing little strokes across into this, using the mop as a blade to get those ripples. Starting off with the lightest colour, the cerulean blue, because we're working from our lightest to our darkest. I'm going to start working these ripples in. Look at the space I'm leaving in between. Look, just tickling the tip of the brush, the very tip of the brush. Tickling it across here to give these little ripples. And you see how it's spreading out, don't you? Mm-hmm. So we can't go too close together or it would just become one colour. So I'm just doing these little zigzags, these little ripples in here, coming across all the way through. Already got the effect of water, look. And I'm not being exact, I'm not trying to copy every ripple. Heaven's sakes, it's just going to be a bag, it's an impression of it. All the way through there, right down to the boat. Then I've got to let it dry a little bit before I put my next ones on, or it's all going to spread into one. So I've got to wait a couple of seconds now, then I'm going to put my next ones on. I want to go slightly darker next time. So that you could use a round brush if you wanted to. You could use a round brush for that, and use your mop at first. And then you could use a round brush to do this, couldn't you? But I'm using the mop as a blade, which is why I like these filberts, because that is a filbert. You see? Filberts, right, birds. Right, I'm going to go slightly stronger. I'm going to take my my cobalt next, and we'll start to work exactly the same way. It's not quite dry enough yet, but it spreads less, look. Now that's only spread half the amount, because the paper is half dry again. So I'm going to start working in these little reflections, all these ripples going all the way through here, slightly closer together in the background, and further apart as we come down.
And that's your ultimate.
This is the cobalt. So I've done the cerulean. Now I'm doing the cobalt. So I'm making slightly thicker brush strokes. As I come down, my brush strokes, I'm pushing a bit harder with my brush, and I'm getting a little bit heavier brush strokes, so they're wider brush strokes as I come down. See the lovely effect of water we're getting there coming? Against the sky, yeah. So I'm going to let that dry a bit now, because it's going to spread out too much, so we just go away and, I'm going to whistle and we'll come back. Don't rush. We don't rush. And we're going to go warmer still in a minute. But you see how things get harder edged there? They only get harder edged because the paint is drier. So the drier my paint becomes, the harder edged these ripples are going to become. So I'm going to be a bit more patient, just wait. We've got the soft effects coming. Now where there's a light area, like here, I've got to leave that and not actually put too much paint there, haven't I? While I'm waiting, actually, when I can be painting this in here, I'm going to, this brown area there is reflecting. What I'm going to do there, as I didn't leave it earlier on, I'm just going to, while it's still wet, just lift this bit out here, like that. And while I'm waiting, I'll just take some, I've got to wait for something else to happen here, so I'm going to take a little bit of my burnt sienna, and a little bit of cadmium orange on this in this case. I'm just going to put that in there, and I'll do the same down here. I'll just ripple that in down here, just to get the reflection of that. I'm just going to tickle it into the paint, just tickle it in down there, just whipple it down. While I'm at it, I'll put the mask in here, because it's still wet paint now. I'll just tickle that same colour, so I've got burnt sienna, a little touch of orange there. Just let that reflect in. When the colour's on your brush, and you want to use it somewhere else, do so. I thought I've got it on my brush, I'll put it in there while I'm at it, because it's there. Stronger. So I'm still letting this dry. Now that's dry enough now, I can go with my next. Now you're going to see a big difference now in these blues. When I start putting this blue on now,
which blue is this?
This is now the ultramarine, down to our strongest, before I mix it with the Look how much, see, it's still spreading, but not as much now. And I want to be, this is the ultramarine. I'm going to actually go right across that bit there because I want a very dark colour there, so I'm going to make that, this is the darker colour for the bank behind, just under here. Well, I'm actually going to come right through here, right underneath the boat.
Looks like a canal bank.
Does it stay sharp?
It's been supported or whatever you call it. It was due to me.
So I'm not going into there, I'm just going through there a little bit now. I can start to bring out those colours there. Gradually, just the tip of the brush. I've got the light colours building up and building up and building up. I'm going to have to be a bit more patient in a moment. Much, much bigger marks down here. Oops, I've got some green in it. Green for green yet. Better. Come down here, big, some nice big marks down here. Going through. And remember that you're not only using the deeper paint, but you've also got to consider how much water you've got with it. I made that blue then a little bit thinner. Here, this little mark's just tickling through. Less and less and less. And it's quite a bit just coming down there. There's a reflection there. Right, I've got to let it dry again if I want to get in sharper edges from now. So that's as far as I'm going for the minute, but let me get that far. Leave it a bit, because it's spread so much on yours. I'm going to work up 2 lots. I'm going medium dark and very dark. So I'm going to take some ultramarine and a little bit of highlight sienna. And I'm going fairly dark. And I'm going to give that a coat there. Right down the boat, right underneath the boat. So this is ultramarine and the burnt sienna. And I'm still doing the same thing, I'm coming out, but you'll see now that my marks are sharp-edged. So right out here I'm dragging this bit here out, I'm dragging this bit of dark. All of that is almost double the size. I'm going to come down to there and I'm dragging it out into the water like this. So I'm dragging this out, ultramarine, burnt sienna, dragging it out, and I'm getting sharper edges, little marks in the background, and there's fewer here. I've got less marks here because it's a lighter area. Right down through here, little marks. It's one thing against another, it's reflections. Getting larger and larger as I come down. Further apart as I come down, but bigger, bolder strokes. Again, I say it again, ultramarine and the brown. I just mix the wrong colour. And you see now how that harder edge works against the softer background that we've already done. So your paper has to be dry enough, so don't rush on, have your little lunch break first. Right, now I'm going to go stronger still. I'm going to take some ultramarine and the brown, but I'm going to use the paint much more thickly. So this is a really heavy mix of the ultramarine now. And really much darker there, look. It's the same colour, but I've got more pigment. So now we've learnt about using the colour transparently and opaquely, almost. This is much, much darker, going in under the boat. Right through under here, carefully. Just coming out from under the boat into little ripples. Right up and round in here. Bringing it out. And again I'm going to drag out these ripples from here. Through my boat. And you can see the luminosity of the sky. As we go darker with this, the sky is going to look lighter. We're really getting some luminosity in the water. Once I get the greens in the middle, this is really going to start making sense. So don't rush it, wait until your paint is dry enough. You can get these darker edges.
Do you normally work with the board vertical like that, or is
No.
that for benefit?
No, it's totally for benefit. It's against what I want. It depends what effect I wanted. If I wanted a really flooding sky, no, I'd lay it at an angle or flat, and then I'd only tilt it when I need to tilt it for those effects.
Yeah.
So this is difficult for me today, yeah. Now, I want to work into this a bit more later. So when this is dry, I'm going to paint a few more of these dark ripples just going into here, but I can't do it yet. So that's the stage I'm going to stop at the moment, and that's what you'll do just after lunch, all right?
The ones that you've had.
Upside down at the moment. That's right, get broader as you come down. And those are my last darks I'm doing into here. I don't need to do any more darks. The building again is the burnt sienna, a little bit of yellow ochre is the burnt sienna, and if you want to put a little bit of blue in just to darken it down again, you can do that. I'm going to darken that a bit more now. I put one layer on, I'm just darkening down with the same colour, but a bit stronger. Got to go a bit cooler on that side. This side I'm putting more blue into it. So we're just starting on some more on the details now. We're just starting to pull the whole thing together. Next, I want to go on to the trees and the grasses behind. And this is where we're going to start having some fun with the textures. If you've got sponges with you, how many of you have got sponges with you? If you haven't, there's a bag of sponges here. So I'm going to just go over that again with that little bit of cobalt again, and just darken it down one tone. Cobalt and a little bit of the brown on top. That's better. Then I'm going to take some of the yellow ochre and a little touch of blue and just hint at some tone in the top of the awning, leaving it light. So those two little strokes, not much, that's all it needs. And then next I'm going to be putting on the greens for the grasses and the trees. Putting some green. Right, so back to my deep green. I'm just tickling that into the wet, letting it spread out thoroughly like rabbit's ears. So you get that lovely furry effect as it spreads. But I'm not using texture yet, we're going to be doing that in a minute. A bit more blue into that, and come down here. The edges of this where it's furry down here, just tickle those in down there before I come back to doing full textures. And just come across the grass a bit, thin it down a bit, we're going to come across the grass a little bit here. And I've almost got it there. I want to do the rest of that tree with sponge, just to show you how it's going to work with sponge now. I've got a little bit of sponge. Try and choose a texture that's going to be suitable for the tree. This should do it. And I want that fairly dark green, so I'll mix more of that up without using my... On my own, I'd probably start using my sap greens and just be straight off, I wouldn't bother, but I just want to show you how we can do it using these colours. We can actually make these are the greens now. Hopefully, I've got the right sponge here. Now, when you're using a sponge, don't just repeat it like that, because it'll become a pattern. The idea of a sponge is that you gradually twist it, and each time you put it on, the pattern will be different. You don't want a repeated pattern. So we've got our light colours. Now if I was using acrylics, I'd have put the dark on first, and I'd put this sponging on afterwards. But I've got my light first, and then my dark goes on. So a bit darker still. And gradually go darker and darker. The sponge is a bit big, but it'll do the job. Just gives me that nice furry treat. Up and up and up. I can come back in with a little brush and tidy things up in a minute, but there's my tree texture coming. We could do it with other brushes. Some of the brushes you just brought off me. Now, let's take one of these little ones, for instance, the textural ones. Take some of this texture, and I'll just play with these trees in the distance here. Look at that, look. Using the texture of that brush, because these brushes are especially designed for it. So that I can get these rushes and reeds in the background coming up. So here, even into the tree, coming up through the tree there. I haven't put the fine details in with my fine brushes at all yet. This is just background texturing. Just coming up and through here, while it's still damp there so it's not too hard, get the effect of the rushes. So we're using different brushes for different purposes. And along here with a few of the grasses going along there. Darker still, going again. Just around the, building it up, darker, darker, darker. You get the idea? It's good fun, isn't it? And see the different textures, sponges, brushes, whatever. Right, I haven't shown you rakes, so I'll take a little rake. Which one should I use today? Let's take that one. And we'll look at the brushes just down here. So again, I want this to be a little bit dry with, but we can start to use a rake in the same sort of a way, except that the rake is more even. It's got a few reflections going in the water here. So you get the idea of all, and you can stipple with it. I can stipple, I can come along here and I can say, right, I want to stipple a little bit along there. Just come along into that grass and stipple some shorter grass. Right, I've got that bit now, because we've got reflection in the water, I want some of that green going on. I'll take some of my yellow. I'm just going to reflect a bit of the yellow into the water, here and there, just to bring this down here, especially around here, because I want that to reflect from the grasses above. And the painting, that's dribbled down from there because I'm painting vertically, but I'll repaint that with some dark later. So that would be the next stage in. We're going to go darker into there yet. That's my background greens. We're going to put more detail in with a brush finer later. In the same way as I'm going to put all the detail in around the mill and down the mast and so on here. This is just to get the background colours in like we did for the water, alright? So use these brushes by all means, use the sponges, use the sponge. So you can't just do wet into wet.
What colour did you use on the trees? You know, for these
I
dark.
mixed. So it's the last darks and colours. We can strengthen the colours of the mask, we can strengthen. Not being finished in our brushes. Not okay.
So you didn't do the dark details on the sail, like you have to do.
Now I'm doing it now, so when these details are going to go in, yeah. So details at the very end. There is an exception to the rule in that loose where I showed you painting the same nonsense. That appears to be loose around. For a standard traditional watercolour, there's actually what we're going to do. This is, you do your loose work first and you tighten up the big brushes first, small brushes at the end. If you want to use a rigger or something, which you can do, you can get away as I am now with a smaller brush first.
Not something. I don't know, I haven't got. Yes, but.
Do you get the idea of the masking? I mean, we've got used to that.
Can't do.
No. Well, if we
They do, yeah, that's why I always think.
keep hiding yours over here, you're hiding away, and I'm having that. Yes, very nice that. Well done. Well, it's nice to have a student, is it right? You enjoyed it? Have you had fun? It's good fun, isn't it? Yeah.
Hope you're not taking a picture of that palette.
So yes, you just need to pick what we got. Right, so yes, once you get these darks in, that's really going to come together. Once you get all these darks into the windmill, the sky will come out and that'll give out three-dimensional. Yeah. Right, well actually, that's it. Right then, have you enjoyed it all, ladies? Yeah. You've all done really well. I'm just going to zoom in now on you, and we'll have these pictures all closer up. Brilliant. You've all done ever so well, and you've all learnt something. That's the point, isn't it? And you've all got finished pictures, which is brilliant for me, because it's always nice for me if people succeed, and you have. So thank you very much for trying so hard.